It sounds like a spy movie.
How many random people would you want in your house? But we still need real intelligence to feed artificial intelligence. Our infrastructure is still built on 1970s and 1960s technology. You'll see all these new technologies and you'll see all this new stuff come out, and it still doesn't solve a problem.
Most people hear the word cybersecurity and think it's someone else's problem, a big company's problem, a government's problem, a tech person's problem. My next guest has spent his entire career proving that it is absolutely your problem. And more importantly than that, that your community has everything it needs to solve it for you. You just need to tap into it. Rob Chaykoski is a cybersecurity professional with one of the most layered careers in this world. He has worked as a lead security engineer at Ontario Health, as an information security specialist at the Co-operators, as a senior security analyst at Greenshield Canada, and as a senior infrastructure technical analyst at Manulife. He's also a professor at Fanshawe College, and his students cannot stop talking the good things that he taught about it. A principal owner at RC Consulting and Managed Security, a company established back in 2014 with a passion for information security and technology, covering the southwestern Ontario area and supporting organizations with comprehensive security strategy from endpoint to the cloud. But the thing that makes Rob or Robert truly stand out isn't any job title. It's what he built from nothing on the side. SWARTZ, the Southwestern Ontario Cyber Talent Showcase, is a community he founded to bring together students, recent graduates, cybersecurity professionals, vendors, and leading companies from Windsor, Essex, and beyond, with the goal of bridging talent with opportunities, fostering industry connections, and strengthening the local cybersecurity community. He didn't wait for someone else to build it. He just built it all by himself. SWARTZ has now grown into a platform that helps students gain hands-on experience, blending traditional and emerging technologies to open doors to career opportunities and uniting experts across the field to offer real cybersecurity services to businesses. Today, we are going to talk about what cybersecurity actually means for everyday people and businesses, why Southwestern Ontario is quietly building something special in this space, and what it really takes to build a community from scratch when nobody asks you to. Rob Chaykoski on the set of the Conversations with Florid, and I cannot be honored to have him. Let's get into it. Rob, your title is Zero Trust Architect. It sounds like a spy movie. What does that actually means for a small business owner or even a cybersecurity expert?
Yeah, this is a really good question. A great start, because this is the one of the fundamentals that I've learned lately to help organizations kind of understand how they're going to protect themselves. And I think of it, think of a house, right? Like, and think of your house at home. How many random people would you want in your house, right? Like, do you lock your door? Probably you lock your windows, and you have to assume a lot of that zero trust aspect, because you only want your family in your house. Well, when you go to your door, somebody knocks on your door and you open it, there's a little bit of an authorization process that you do to ensure that the people that are coming into your home are people that you allow in your home, and you maybe even only allow them access to your kitchen, or you don't want them in your bedroom during certain times, right? Like, there's a certain aspect that when I go to the washroom, I don't want people watching me, right? Like, especially some random dude. But I do want to control access to my house. And I think the business aspect of things, especially when you're protecting data, it's the same idea as you want to protect your house. You want to ensure that access is only authorized and they only go to where they need. It gets suspicious if somebody starts climbing through my window at home, right? Like,
Yes.
it's not a normal entrance. So you want them, you protect your door, you protect your windows, you protect your house. And I think businesses should hopefully think the same way, because again, I kind of like even talk to my students the idea is that if you have a really good foundation, well, then your house is even better protected, right? Because that's another entrance. You can always tunnel underneath. Think of going to your spy movies.
Yeah.
How many spy movies where they tunnel underneath and get into banks? So yeah, you got to be aware of all your entrances, exits, and what you want to protect. People have valuables, jewelry in their house, pictures. Sorry, and I'm going to go into a little tangent here. Is there's something like pictures that are very personal that if somebody came in and took them and brought them and then put them on the internet, you probably wouldn't like it, right? So that's the idea, is that we want to make sure that people only access what they need at the time they need it and nothing more. Being part of healthcare, it's been an important aspect of things, especially you think of all the breaches that have happened. There's a lot of information that is out there already, and we want to control that. But there's also the aspect of, there's a lot of your credit card data, right? Like you don't want your credit cards out there. It's, but again, this is very personal and very aspect, and you have your individuals that hopefully can just understand that you have to protect your house. Long answer, short, best analogy that I could come up with. So.
Right, that's interesting. So when it comes to house, we can put some security cameras, sensors around the doors and windows just to protect that, and basically alarms anything if something happens, any kind of breach.
Yes.
For a SaaS business, what are those guardrails around it?
It's kind of like the same idea, and you kind of like have your alarms, and this is part of the monitoring aspect of things, and you have so many logs that are available to what you can ingest per se. A lot of people do the SIEMs, whatever you want to call it, the security incident and event management tools. For example, I use WAZA, which is one of my favorites because it's an open source tool that you can implement. It does take a lot of configuration and a lot of tuning, but it is an open source free tool that you can implement for ingesting logs. Graylog is one of those tools that you can ingest logging to. And there's so many different stacks too. The Elk stack, I think, is one of the ones that a lot of people use. Is the Elastic. Oh my God, I'm losing the log tool, and then Kibana is the other one. But yeah, and then what is it? Alien Vault has a community edition that was bought up by AT&T. And I think you have to go through like hoops and whatever to get to it. On the web, but again, there's these free tools that you can use to like ingest that SaaS related data. As long as you can get the logs to it, you can do a lot of event monitoring, and that even goes into you can monitor and alert, but you also have to learn how to react, right? So that's the aspect is if you put up all those cameras and you put up all those door locks and somebody breaks in and you do nothing about it, that security system was useless to begin with, right? So
absolutely. The reason why I asked this question is in this AI world, a lot of people are building their SaaS version of their idea using AI tools. Like let it be Google Anti-Gravity, Claude Code, or whatever tools they're trying to use, but they are leveraging AI or LLMs to get it done.
Yes.
And I'm sure there are so many security loopholes that are not taken into consideration while building those or getting those first MVPs out there into the market.
Yeah.
So how can we still implement cybersecurity aspect using AI?
So yeah, this is awesome. So like again, this is where you have to learn how to tune your AI, right? Like again, you're using a lot of models that you have to tune yourself, including ingesting the data that you're looking at. And again, and I'm no by means any AI security expert, but understanding like that what you put into your data is also what you're going to get out of it. So you want to make sure that as you're ingesting a lot of this log related data, you want to clean it up, especially if you're going to things that are cloud or subscription based. Sometimes you're paying per log entry, right? Like you're allowed 10,000 log entries and then you're going above it. You do want to make sure your data is clean. And as you're kind of like logging about your data, again, going back to your SaaS build tool, is you want to build that logging facility in to ensure that you're getting as much information out of it as you can that is going to help you do something with it, right? Think of authentication. You're probably going to start out your tool where you want to give a lot of free access, but eventually people will want to make it more personal, I would think, and make sure that I think of a tool like, I'm going to use up Notion, right? Think of Notion. If you're using Notion in the cloud, do you want everybody else that uses Notion to access your data on Notion, right? Like, probably not. You'd want your walled garden to ensure that your data is specific to you. Well, as you're building your tool, like your cloud-based or even an on-prem deployed kind of tool, you want to take your zero trust architecture, which we kind of talked about, and develop like identity, network, oh my God, data, application, and oh my God, I'm trying to remember the other one. Automation. I can't remember. Anyway, there's the 5 pillars of zero trust, and you build that into your tool. And any part of that is loggable, I would probably do to ensure not only from the security perspective, but I'm sure like developers like you guys use a lot of these logging facilities to help you troubleshoot errors or performance issues, right? So
Yes.
and I'll even add, sorry, quickly to the very basics CIA triad of security, and I got to make sure because I don't want to forget this because it's how important it is our CIA triad, and going back to the spy sounding thing, is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And all those are part of our security. And you think of like confidentiality, making sure stuff is secure, integrity, making sure data is right, and available is making sure you can access it when you need. So that's been a core principle for a long time, even before zero trust. So it's really nice. And if you, as you develop your cloud apps to develop your walled gardens, you can allow people in and out, or your house, you build your house.
Yes.
And it's awesome. And yeah, you make it as secure as you want. Sometimes you do want to allow open doors. Sometimes you don't, depending on what your needs are, right?
With this AI IDs or building a SaaS application using AI tools, you can prompt for an example that, hey, I want my application to be secure. Think as a cybersecurity expert and implement those guardrails.
Yes.
But this context is not enough.
Yes.
It's definitely not enough. There is a lot more details needs to be fed in order to make that happen.
Yeah, I would say even you're nuanced if you look into your code itself, right? Like,
yes.
What is it? Like you look in your .md files, right? Like see how your workers are made and how everything talks. There's so much more around our conversations, and even go to your backends, right? Where you store your data. There's your data masked. Is it encrypted? Like, is it available? Is it like, so there's always those nuanced aspect of your code on your back end too, that I think sometimes people forget about. If you're doing all the security and you have it storing all your data in a clear text Excel file, do you have any security? Right? Like, yeah, you're gonna have all those individuals access all that data at the same time. And I kind of even go with that Notion aspect. If you develop security in your code and all that, but you don't develop security for your users, it might break the system. And then people, again, companies that are breached sometimes have a problem reestablishing trust after a breach too. So think of you're developing your app, you haven't developed enough security controls in place to test it in a really good manner. You release it out to the public, and like a week later, somebody finds an exploit and steals all your code. Well, that makes it for a bad day for your development.
Yes,
it's just like it's one of the things. It's you get in what you get out what you put in.
Absolutely. I was in one of the pitch competition, and a team of 5, they just about to go on the stage and pitch about their idea, and 5 minutes earlier, their entire website was hacked.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And that was a miserable situation for them. It was a huge disaster, and they ended up just showing up the presentation, the PPT file.
Yeah, that's a tough go.
Yes. So, and this is happening a lot. Even you build an application using AI, keeping as much as possible security around it. But what would be those 3 or 5 tactics or prompt or
Oh boy. So this is going to be a lot of stuff. So first and foremost is like, again, as you try and do your prompt to do the build just security, right? Like you have to understand what data you're going to be protecting or collecting in the end. And then there's so much around regulation and compliance that maybe you're building that up and somebody in Europe is going to be using it. Well, then you have to be GDPR compliant.
Yes.
California, they have their own bill now that is very, very specific. Imagine now that you have to start taking IDs because your content is restricted, 18 plus. Australia, I think, has implemented their social media ban for under the age of 16. So there's a lot of prompts that I would put around compliance and making sure that you are regulatory. And then I would also add, make sure that your terms and conditions of your usage are clear. I know that sometimes not even worth the paper it's printed on because you, the lawyers, but at least protect yourself at the bare minimum to ensure that people are aware of what their limitations are expected of your application, right? Like you don't want it used for, malicious purposes. The other aspect is the back-end stuff. I can't stress that enough because a lot of times people will think their back-end is good because it's encrypted, but nothing is protected around that encryption, right? Like, so once I get past the encryption, I have access to all the data. Well, that's kind of like encryption makes it useless. Bad passwords, again, this is going back to like make sure that you ensure there's some kind of second or multi-factor opportunity, right? Like,
Yes.
It's hard to enforce it all the time, but at least there's an opportunity for multi-factor for people for authentication. And then that leads to also make sure that your role-based controls, right? An admin is a way different than a regular user. So that would be the top 3 or 5 to me, other than like adding to make sure that you include your OWASP top 10 security controls to prevent that kind of stuff too.
Some leaders think buying expensive software keeps them safe.
Yeah.
But you have said they misunderstand what trust really means. What are they doing wrong in this?
Well, one thing, thinking a tool is going to solve all their problems, right? Like this is the aspect. We can talk about the house kind of thing. You build a house, but if no one lives in it to monitor what's going on in it, that house is going to degrade over time, right?
Yes.
It's a lot of work. And that's the thing I think leaders forget about a lot of times is it's time, effort, and money. And it comes down to all of those. And I think if you put in the time to ensure that whatever tools you're putting in are used effectively, right? You're monitoring, you're alerting, you're doing the work to tune it, right? And then your effort is doing that tuning and ensuring the application is running as what you've expected it to run as. But again, you're not going to get one tool that does it all or does it all effectively. You might need multiple tools, especially the bigger the organization and the more data you collect. And the last thing is the money thing, right? Like you do have to make sure that you are spending the money appropriately, because there are going to be vendors out there that they say that tool does everything, and then they're going to charge you more, and then nickel and dime you to add this feature or that feature, and then at the end of the day, if you don't implement it properly, you're still at phase 0. And even then, when you get to that phase 4 or phase 5, depending on what model you use for like your SDLC, the software development lifecycle or whatever, is you can tell over a period of time that you still have controls that you have to implement, right? Like point in time reference, right? Like 0 days exists because there's always new stuff coming out.
Yes.
So, and that's why that money comes into play, because you have to pay people. AI is not always going to be able to detect stuff. So
yes,
you always have to have that man in the loop to help you understand what you're doing. And that's why it's like that tool you can spend billions on, but if it's not monitored and implemented and people in the loop, it's going to do nothing for you other than cost you a ton of money. And
Right.
if you
Back
have
to
money to burn, I'm more than happy to take it. I know a whole bunch of people that are happy to take it. So yeah.
back to the same concept that you mentioned in the first part, having the security cameras around it, but not
No one's looking at them.
taking
Yeah.
actions if something happens.
Yeah.
It's useless.
Yeah, exactly. Again, you go the door alarms, right? If you don't have the
Yes.
door, if you give everybody your passcode to the door, does it really matter?
Exactly. Most companies spend on compliance, not actually security. What's the difference? And why does that gap put everyone at risk?
Yeah, and this is where I want to go with it. I'm sorry, I'm going to try and get the best what I can say here from a compliance perspective, because the hard part about compliance, it is just a checkbox a lot of times. And again, this is where I won't use an analogy per se, but we want to make sure that our neighbors are as safe as us, because we're only as safe as our closest neighbor. And that thinks of your business, right? Like, if I was doing payment card industry, like the PCI compliance aspect of things, it's a point in time reference for their specific compliance, right? So if I meet their compliance, well, then I'm not going to be fined if I get breached. So I've met that bare minimum, and I hate to pick on PCI, but it is like one of those bare minimum kind of compliance things where it's like a whole bunch of 12 check boxes, or maybe they expanded to 24. But not compared to like something like OSFI, like the Ontario Securities and Financial. Anyway, so something like OSFI, where it's more around the financial kind of aspect. There's a lot more control and compliance around their aspect of things too. But it's still just point in time references of an audit. So you can meet the bare minimum and still complete an audit. Well, that doesn't really make you secure. That only makes you secure enough to pass an audit. And if you notice anything about a lot of the breaches that have happened, and think about a company like Equifax, or something like Facebook, or all these other kind of companies that, oh my God, what is the? I'm not going to pick on any more companies, but you think about those organizations that have nothing but money to throw at compliance and security. Well, they throw money at compliance because at least they're not going to get fined. Or if they do get fined, it's the bare minimum fine because they did their due diligence to meet compliance. So again, this is where it really gets tough, because unless we really hold these organizations accountable, like GDPR is pretty good when you think about the European model, but it's still only effective based on their fines or implementation. You think of people, again, sorry, the analogy that should keep me on track at least is the aspect of red lights. You see people run red lights all the time now because it's maybe not the enforcement that they used to have. But you have to enforce security. You have to be more than compliant anymore if you don't want to get breached. But unless we change the aspect of how companies are penalized for a breach, these companies will just still make compliance a checkbox, which again, you think you're putting your information to these organizations, they've only met the bare minimum, which makes you only as strong as your neighbor. So.
How often this company should be checking their security aspect of it, or how often or how long does this license are valid for?
Well, and this is the hard part, right? Like again, this is unfortunately it's a journey, not a destination, right?
Yes.
Like, and you think of your point in time references, and you have a lot of 0 days that come out, right? And I will even point to, you have new technologies that come out like AI. So I would say anytime there's significant change in the industry, make sure that you're redoing an audit, especially the bigger the organization, the more important that audit is, because there's so many bits of shadow IT, shadow SaaS, shadow AI now, right? Like people running their own AI tools that you don't know about inside a corporation. So you just have to make sure that you're monitoring all the time. And at the very least, I would say every 3 months, do a check on yourself. Think of it as blood work, right? If you want to be as healthy as possible, you're going to check your blood work as often as possible. And It's the idea is that you as an organization, you just want to check the health of your ability to secure your infrastructure. And sometimes you'll find a new gap, which is interesting, and you have to deal with it. But if you're dealing it before everybody else, you have a way better posture of less likely to get breached. And again, it's all about risk. And they say not if, it's when. Well, hopefully that when is as long a way as possible, right? Like you want to make sure that that when is way after everybody else, because you don't want to be the first in line.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I personally think that privacy is just a concept anymore.
Yes. Well,
it used to be a thing back in the days, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
AI is moving so fast right now. Every single week or every single day, there is something new happening in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels overwhelming to keep track of every single thing,
mm-hmm.
or even just to keep moving forward with the changes happening.
Yeah.
How can we ensure our own company or whatever organization that we are working for, or let's say we are building a new project,
mm-hmm.
how can we ensure that it's still secured enough?
Ooh, okay. So we kind of talk about life cycle development, right? Like this is
Yes.
the hard part of things is that people don't understand like security has to be baked in at the beginning, right? Like this is it's money, it's expertise, it's so much more than what we used to deal with. And as you talk about the speed of things, we have to, cybersecurity community has to, as like developers and everybody now, have to learn at a speed that is like just almost unattainable. So automating, right? Like we have to automate the things that are boring. We have to get rid of bad data, the things that are useless and may not be meaningful. And we have to learn how to make better decisions quicker. So that means better information. That means better tooling, right? Like some more accurate tooling and verification. I think that's a huge part, is that we can't just inherently trust tools. We talk about the people that want to just buy the tool, put it in, and then leave it. No, it's consistent. We got to like keep on making sure that every tool that we put in is relevant and useful to us. It's just another one of those things where time, effort, money. If there's only so much you can do, well, you might have to limit the scope of your product, right? Because if your product is bigger than the scope of your ability to secure it, well, you're going to run into issues. We have a great bunch of front-end developers that can secure all our inputs, but our back-end database is, a CSV file. So it's kind of like one of those things where you just got to be aware of your entire pipeline. There's tons of tools out there that can kind of like help you with your pipeline. And as you talk about more and more, we can develop those AI tools to help understand what happens in that pipeline.
Right.
And give that information back to the developers or the product managers to help make security decisions, to be like, hey, that CSV file needs to be a secured database that is running data masking for this column and this information. So it's like, I think just better information, more informed decisions, and quicker ability to make them, right? AI will help, but yeah, we have to be aware that it can also make wrong decisions as well.
Do you think that there are a lot of companies are just guessing that we are secure?
Yeah. To be completely honest, I think companies are guessing a lot lately because there's so many closed systems, and with the amount of the speed, they have to guess. Until you're hiring that expertise. And it's funny enough, like the job market has been weird for a lot of people. I know a lot of companies have trusted AI to do their part, to do its part. But I go back to, there's still that human in the loop that needs that expertise to feed that data back into the AI to make sure that it's correct.
Yes.
So yeah, I think people are guessing because they have no idea what's actually going on, and they don't have the expertise. I go to a mechanic because I have no expertise on my car. So I go to my doctor because, again, I want my doctor to be the one that's inside me. I don't want to be the one that's inside me to fix me.
People search so much online these days, and now AI tools can see our screen, read our files, can go through the personal data that we have, the private files on our computer. Is real cybersecurity even possible anymore, or
That's a tough one, right? Like again,
just an illusion, just as I mentioned?
Yeah, you know, this is where again, like the illusion is there, right? Because you think of how many breaches that have already happened, how much data is already out there. People nowadays they're growing up on things like TikTok and showing like themselves all the time. Think of the live streamers that are just like there's no such thing as privacy to them anymore. Their personal details are always out there. But I also think it's also an individual choice, right? Like there's people that want to be online and make their data available all the time. But there's also people out there that want to be extremely private. And I think people that want to be extremely private should have that opportunity, right? Like, so this is where the aspect of people's usage of applications should be making it very clear of what happens to their data. Think of a Facebook, think of Twitter or whatever it's now X. How much data is being ingested personally and is being used now without their consent for things that they didn't consent to begin with. So yeah, I think the aspect of privacy is gone, but I think it's organizations that have ruined it, right? Because they've made it so it's very hard to be private anymore. But I think that's hopefully an individual choice, and hopefully people that are responsible are allowed to be responsible for their data. And I think that's like a huge risk. We've talked about the security aspect of things for a long time now, and it's I know we shouldn't develop any kind of just acceptance of breaches. That shouldn't be just acceptable to like, oh, that company's going to get breached. That's okay. Like we should be better at helping people that want to protect their data. I started hosting my data at home because of a lot of this, right? I've taken my personal data back into my own house because I know that I want to protect it. But not everybody can do that, right? Like again, this is we have a certain level of expertise. I think of people that just barely can log into an app and are expected to know, the CI pipeline. I don't think that's going to happen, right? Like so.
Yes.
Anyway,
what is Canada doing in terms of securing their tech against this AI threats or basically the cyber threat? Because if we see countries like United States, there are compliance already passed upon these AI tools. So it needs to be gone through. Yeah. Otherwise, it cannot be used in US, for an example.
Yeah.
If it's not complied.
Yeah.
And similar aspects are happening in different countries as well. What Canada is doing?
Well, I think, this is the hard part of Canada versus a lot of the other things is that we do have a lot of other countries that are doing some good things. Again, I kind of point to GDPR, which has been a great learning example, hopefully for us as we develop, things like the right to forget. But I think we're in a little bit of a weird scenario because imagine now your best friend has decided to change how they handle things. They've become almost an adversary. The best friend has become our adversary now, right? Like, so how do we trust doing business with an adversary now? So I think we have to like really think of our protections from, I'll kind of speak to data sovereignty for a second, is that we have to learn how to bring our data back in, right? Like we have these cloud applications that host data all over the globe. Well, if we can't control our data, we can't really control what happens to it. So all these regulations, and think of the US Cloud Act, right? Like in the US Patriot Act, where they can go in and just take data that is not US citizens' data, right? Like, so they can now go in and take your data as a Canadian citizen. Well, I'm not cool with that, right? Like I don't want to be ostracized crossing the border because of my posts online. I want to be able to have some freedoms around it. So I think it's important that Canada uh, not just regulates more of how we do that, because regulation kind of imposes some lack of freedom again, but we also have to have the right to do business and all that other thing. But I think the aspect is we have to be better at it. I don't think Canada is quite there. I think we have a lot of work to do, especially now that the US has done what they've done.
Yes.
But we've now working with developing trade with like Indonesia and a lot of Europe and even things like China and Japan, right? We have to learn their trade, their negotiations, their data, their regulations, and we have to make sure that we're kind of compliant. But I think in another aspect, we have to think of our citizens. What do they want? We have to like get like just because Japan wants certain things, we may want something different. So we have to think of what our citizens want and be aware. Especially like think of all the development that's happening around AI now. There's so many jobs, so many opportunities that we could create. And yes, there's some guardrails we can implement. And yes, I think Canada has an entire now set of AI compliance kind of things. And I would have to really look up the details. But as we do other bills, and I think Bill 6 is another one that's kind of come out of Canada for a security perspective. Quebec was looking at some laws and compliance regulations. But again, these are all check boxes, right? We kind of talked about that, and they only matter if you actually do it. So
Right.
I think we just got to do.
What made you choose the cybersecurity as
Oh boy.
your career instead of just being a developer?
Oh, so this is where it's like really weird, and it's kind of like I think cybersecurity chose me more than I chose it. It's like it's one of those things where I've tried to like step out of, but it keeps on dragging me back. There's so many times where I think I want to go out and like just cut grass and like trim trees and that kind of thing, and it's like, but this cybersecurity stuff, it draws me in a way that nothing else has. I find it like, I don't know, part of my soul, I guess you would say. And I think that it's funny because I mentioned that it's as we develop into this cybersecurity world, right? And I'm going to get into like some of the other aspects is that I hopefully can reference some of the friends that I've recently met that have brought me into the whole cyber psychology space, right? There's now this whole idea that think of Neuralink and all these kind of other things. And I got like this little data, this biohacking thing that tells me my blood sugars, right? All this stuff that is now going to start becoming part of you changes a little bit of your psychology. And there's this cyber psychology that needs to be aspect, and not just think phishing emails, right? We had to learn how to like protect ourselves against phishing emails. Well, now we're gonna have to learn how to protect ourselves against AI kind of related content, and also AI related extortion techniques. Think of AI video that people can now mimic so many different people now. And I will say, like, one of the examples for protecting yourself against AI video, especially think of companies that want to do a large transaction, like $2-3 million. When you get this CEO impersonation going, hey, we're just going to steal like $3 million. Is that okay? And like, yeah, it's okay. You got to have a code word. You have to have something that some kind of password between for a large transaction that changes often, that you can kind of go, hey, John, you're the CEO. Can you tell me the code word for this large transaction? Right. Like, so just hopefully we learn how to protect ourselves better. And then, sorry, going back to the Neuralink thing, is you think of if you start doing like physical ability as a service, that's kind of like all of a sudden, like you get your Neuralink, it restores your ability to walk. But if you don't pay your bill, they can shut off your ability to walk. It sounds like some kind of ridiculous cyber future, but how far away actually is it, right? And now imagine you have this Neuralink that'll like now directly show ads in your brain instead of like on the TV. I hope we're not going to do this, but I really don't see it that far away. Anyway,
Interesting.
that's a long, weird tangent, but yes, there's a lot going on.
Isn't it beautiful when the industry chooses you? Instead, you pick the industry.
Oh yeah. I think it's like awesome because when I think back to like this whole thing, that's why I said psychology and all this growth aspect. This is why there's just so much out there that it's so much interesting, and I think what possibly can keep me busy enough than an industry that never stops growing.
Absolutely.
And now you add AI to it. Oh,
yes.
Wow.
It's like an integral part of every business aspects.
Yeah.
You need a cybersecurity expert.
And even personally now, right?
And yes.
You need to have friends that like, hey, my bank is calling me and it looks like they want all my money. Is that okay? No, it's not okay. Please do not. No, do not transfer it to Bitcoin. Sorry.
Technology changes so fast. What was the hardest moment in your career where you basically had to stop and relearn everything from scratch?
Oh, this might be a little bit long-winded one. And the only reason why I say is because there's never been one moment, right? This is like when I first started out in my life, there was an aspect that I didn't even know I wanted to get into cybersecurity, right? Like, so I tried many different things that required a little bit of a restart. I tried tool and mold, I tried sales, I tried all these different things, and it just didn't work. And so I had to learn how to rebuild myself in the cybersecurity aspect because it started in IT. So I started building computers, right? And nothing better than like humbling is when you build a computer and it doesn't work, right? Like you can kind of like, oh my God, all these parts just fit together and you turn it on and I have no idea what's going on. So you start learning how to troubleshoot. And that required me to rebuild myself because I thought like, you think you know things and then you learn that, man, that bubble is big, that you don't know things. And that required me to learn how to troubleshoot. And as I learned how to troubleshoot, well, I started dealing with people. Well, once I learned that people, not everybody's nice, and that required me to rebuild, right? Because I'm like, holy crap, there's actually people that are mean out there and they're just mean because they're mean, right? Like you can't change them, which was really, really hard for me to deal with. So that required a little bit of rebuilding as well. And then from the cybersecurity aspect was learning that companies and organizations and people will just accept risk, right? Like it was like, you realize like how dangerous this is by just accepting. They're like, yeah, we got to move ahead with the project. And you're like, but that's like very critical that, something happens. You're like, all the data is gone. Like, no, we just have to move forward. And you're like, wow. And they have to learn how to like understand that people will just do that and that your advice may not just be like, it's just advice and that's all they care about.
Yeah.
And then also like the health made me understand, like I had to rebuild another time. Like it was understanding that as we break our bodies, it takes longer to rebuild as we get older. And some things just never rebuild, right? So understanding that you're not invincible, understanding that you are human, and then you realize like the life is short kind of aspect of things. And you just want to like, I want to help the community. And that was another big part, is just understanding how much work goes into a community. So rebuilding how much effort you want to put into things. And yeah, and I think I'm almost on my 10th or 12th rebuilding stage. And I think I still have many more to go.
At some point, you decided to go back and giving back to the community by building SWARTZ, that is Southwestern Ontario Cyber Talent Showcase, all from scratch and for free even.
Yes.
So my question is why, and what made you feel that was worth your time?
Oh, this is awesome. I like this because this is like, a passion project. And I think anybody that's ever done a passion project knows what a passion project actually is. For those that don't know a passion project, that have never experienced it, it's something that you put your whole heart and soul into, because it's something that, feeds you and kind of like really understand it, it's part of you and part of like what you want to perform in life. So SWATZ to me was this opportunity to take an idea like cybersecurity and not keep it behind bars, right? Like I think a lot of times people come up with an idea and they want to monetize it, and I totally understand. We have a really especially nowadays, right? It's really tough. Financial things are put a lot of people in binds. But I think that also makes the opposite true, that because everybody's so financially stressed now, let's give them an opportunity to learn something for free once in a while. And I know there's YouTube out there, but I think what we lose a lot of times is this in-person connectivity. COVID gave us this opportunity away from home, which is great. But as you see this return to work, there's people that actually want to be in person, and there's people that don't want to be in person. But I find a lot of times I've dealt with a lot of students that come into our little workshops, and they've never actually touched a computer. They've never like ripped apart a computer. They've had their laptop and they've played with it, but they've never actually pulled out memory or a hard drive. And I think that's like important, because I think when I go back to like my story of like seeing my password come across in clear text, it was also that aspect of when I built my first computer, the first time you actually get it working and you put the OS on and you're like, holy crap, this is actually something I built myself. There's that, I don't know, it just gave me that great feeling that that's what I wanted to share with people, is that understanding that I wanted something that I could do in person to help people, because a lot of times when, again, you're in an audience of online, you don't get the time to ask questions, or you get nervous about asking questions. But if I get an opportunity to spend time with 12 people, I can go up to them individually and ask how they're doing. And sometimes they need that individual help or opportunity to ask those hard questions, because not everybody is the same. Not everybody learns the same. And we have to stop giving cookie cutter solutions to everything. So I think that's an opportunity for SWARTZ to really build. We have a lot of great people in there. And as we build and join other communities, right, we give a lot of people opportunities for other expertise and join other communities as well, because not everybody wants to be a cybersecurity professional, right? Like some people want to just do AI, which I still hope they do security, mind you, but they have a passion project around AI that, that's what they want to do. But we want to provide that support.
Right. When building SWARTZ, what was the hardest moment, or what was the hardest part of building community all from scratch?
So this is the hardest thing, is I will find, is not getting people going. People are excited to do things. It's maintaining that. I find like that was the biggest hurdle. Is we had our first event, which we created a lot of buzz, which was awesome, but it was that post-event aspect of how do we maintain this kind of community. And it's still a lot of work, because Windsor, we're still trying to develop. There's a lot of work we're still putting in. It's hard to get the community because it is smaller, but we see what's happening in London. We see what's happening in Waterloo, and we've kind of tried to follow a little bit of that Toronto model as well. And it's just been amazing, because the support and people are just fantastic. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but and the trouble is still there, because the hard part is maintenance, right? Like people like to do things, but they don't want to do them.
Right. I can't agree enough. As a professor at Fanshawe College, I see the gap what students learn and what the industry is really asking for. The gap between learning and implementing it into the real world.
Yes.
How is SWARTZ helping them to get there or cross that bridge?
Oh, this is awesome. This is my favorite one. This is my favorite question, because this is the community aspect of things. And this is where I really love what like a lot of our people are doing, is that they want to help, they want to volunteer, they want to come in. And what does that do for people? Well, it gives them opportunity. So we have a lot of roles that we kind of develop within SWARTZ that actually require some effort. So we have an infrastructure that we're building, including things like my God, identity and access management tools, right? Like IAM tools. We do have a CDCI pipeline because we have a website that's being developed. So we've kind of like, and please correct me if I'm getting that wrong, because I think it's CDCI, but I sometimes screw it up.
CI/CD.
CI/CD, there we go. Constant
fine.
integration and development. Okay, perfect. So sorry if I screwed that up a couple times. So anyway, but we have those opportunities for these students to come in, and not just students. We can have professionals that I want to learn something, right? Like we have so much opportunity. So we have great students like Ben and Logan and G and like so many of these. I could name them. I want to name them all, but they are starting to not just develop themselves in our organization, but they're working hard to co-op, get these certifications, do things outside of their workload or their course load that help them develop to become better, cybersecurity professionals. Well, that also helps them reach out to other individuals that do our workshops, that come in, and we can now see the cyber hives that are developed, and they now bring in professionals. Well, what do those professionals do? Well, they give opportunities and network connections to these students to hopefully get jobs. And we've seen some great people get some great co-ops and jobs out of this organization already. And we're just over a year old, right? Like, and we've also seen our development, like we've seen students develop communications and cooperation with other organizations like GDG, like ISC Squared from Waterloo. Like we go to Task, Toronto Area Security Clutch often, and we now like the Cyber Women in AI that are part of the London community, right? All these connections now have an opportunity that how do we help people that are not interested in cybersecurity? Well, we give them to GDG or we give them to AI or wherever we can that can help them grow in the community that helps them, right? So we've continued to provide that effort to not only give people an opportunity, but our workshops are very in-person, very hands-on. And I was talking earlier about how we've given opportunities to students to like actually touch things. We'll bring a firewall, we'll bring a switch, an actual physical device, so that way they can open it up, like a server. One of the students that we had from the Masters of Applied Computer program from one of the universities never opened up a server before. So we opened up a server. He took out all the memory. He was actually did the reapplying of the silver agent that puts the CPU. I can't even think of the name. I'm sorry. Where you put the cooler on, and yes, it provides that heat reduction. Anyway, so they were able to actually rebuild the server and help us clean it. So it was awesome.
Wow.
So yeah, we want to give people, and one of our other guys that helped, Russ, oh my God, he's awesome too. He showed people how to crimp their own network cable, right? People don't see a cable, and sorry, I don't want to like really ruin the capitalism aspect of things, but that $50 cable you can make for like, $2, or ask somebody to make for $2 because, it doesn't cost a lot. It really does not. As long as you have a friend that has network cable, you're good to go.
Awesome. Looks like you are doing a lot of hands-on
Yes.
within SWARTZ, so that when they go out in the industry or even for an interview,
Yeah.
they can nail it.
Well, and that's the thing is like you think of all the software and hardware that's out there, and we try our best to do open source so that way they understand it. It's free, but we also try and apply the concepts to the paid software as well, because most of the organizations that I know use the paid versions of software because again, license compliance and regulation and stuff like that. So we try and give them the hands-on opportunity to not only use the open source versions, but encourage them to use the paid versions of software. Like, Cato Networks has a free certification that's a CASB kind of thing, and they're a paid software, but it's an opportunity for them to learn some kind of paid software that also gives them a certification. So again, the hands-on and just continued learning. Oh man, that's why it's my favorite question, because there's so much opportunity for us.
As we are moving to the last phase of our podcast, for a small business owner watching this podcast right now, what would be that one thing that you may advise to protect themselves right now?
Well, okay, so there's going to be like, it's going to be a little bit more than one thing, but the one thing I would first do is like reach out to an expert, like get an expert. I'm not saying like you have to get out to like these super kilometers like KPMG or anything like that, but you have a college that has a whole bunch of students that are in the cybersecurity program that have a connection to a professor or somebody in the industry with these kind of cyber hives that they can not only be part of that development, they have access to an expert, right? Like, so this would be an opportunity for businesses that maybe are struggling to get that pay for cybersecurity, get a student in, help you like understand some of these concepts. And again, this is where we can get expertise to help them, but make sure that you as a business are aware of your requirements per se, because as you bring in these students and experts, right, we want to make sure that we tailor it to you. Like, you're not cookie cutter. Quit buying cookie cutter solutions, because not everybody works the same, right? And again, this is why it's hard to do one take on this, because every industry is a little different, every business is a little different, every individual is a little different. And that's why I said we can't have one tool that fits all. We talk about, let's take Notion, for example. Some of it, like you mentioned Notion about a note-taking app. I've used Obsidian, I've used Trillium, I've used all these other kind of like note-taking apps. And again, I haven't found one that actually works for me yet for what I want to do. But that's the aspect, is we start to like look at all these different tools that may not fit everybody's individual need. But if you get an individual to help you, well, we can kind of hopefully fit that need. So
That's a brilliant idea that you mentioned, finding students in your nearest college, getting them into your organization, finding the loopholes or the opportunities to work around the security. And having an expert for a student is their professors who are working in the industry or who are having years of experience. Integrating that saves a lot of money for an employer. And for students, it's an exposure.
It's a resume builder.
Absolutely, being in school.
Yeah.
So that would be a win-win for everyone.
I would think so. And like I said, you can reach out to any business that want to reach out to an organization or like SWARTZ or GDG or any of these organizations that have a volunteer nonprofit mindset, because they're going to help you, right? They have an interest in helping you to perform better. And eventually, like, hopefully these organizations that do need that help see the value in it, and they'll want to bring them on as an expert, because again, you think of electricians or all these other kind of trades, right? They need to learn. You can't pop people into cybersecurity and expect them to know everything. There's no possible way.
Yes.
They got to learn. And there's so many areas of everything, right? Like, you think of development, how many areas of development there are, and how many languages, and how many different like styles, and
Yes.
there's no cookie cutter solution. So
No way.
what's the best programming language out there, right? Like, you can't really answer that.
No.
So what's the best security tool out there? It's kind of the same idea as it's a group, it's a community that helps develop what your security posture should be. Just like if you're building an app for a specific industry, you wouldn't put a gas regulation app inside a healthcare kind of community, right? Like, there's different aspects of what they do, financial.
Exactly.
So anyway, we could go on forever the examples, but you are like, communities like you guys are where we shine, and how we build more, and how we get better, and how we get these students employed, because that's at the end goal. Everybody just needs to find some purpose and work. So
That's very noble motive of you behind SWARTZ, and I love every aspect of it. I have been to your event, and just wonderful the way you are. It's more hands-on, it's more practical, and I think that is exactly what the students need. So
I think that's the gap, right? Like,
that's
I
the
think
gap.
And again, you even talk about the education system and how, and I don't want to pick on education, because there is an aspect of that they have to learn how to learn.
Yes.
but there's only a speed that these that courses can be developed up as well, right? Like I think of some of these courses that maybe that are aged, right? Like I taught routing information protocol, which is RIP, which is old as crap and no one uses it. And I always tell the students, if you run into like somebody networking with RIP, run away, right? Because that's so old. But again, you've got to learn some of the basics. But because the education system can't keep up at the speed that technology is, we sometimes also have to cover that gap that way. So a lot of the new technologies like CASBs or SASE or Secure Service Edge or Zero Trust, right?
Yes.
This is how we do it. This is how we bring in these opportunities. We teach the new tools and we work with them. Again, I'll pick on some of the students that have just been absolutely amazing, bringing Authentic for trying our authentication mechanism. SEMGREP is like a part of our CI/CD pipeline. And then we've WASA is like our SIEM, right? Like, so they get an opportunity to see this stuff and oh my God, if you can play with it, do it. Build your home lab. Oh my God, students should absolutely build their home lab, and anybody that can like give away free hardware for students to use, let us know, because the hands-on aspect, we just want to incorporate that too, right? Like
yes.
Anyway.
After everything you have built, your career, the community, SWARTZ, what does a truly successful day look like to you?
Oh my God, you know what's funny is most people would probably like, oh, I'd fish all day, or I'd like, play games all day or whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I think of it and I go back to like, what would I do? I'd wake up in the morning, probably start my day with looking on LinkedIn and trying to get a post or something out. Hopefully a long post or an article. And then I would move into like, maybe I might play a game of Rocket League. I do like my Rocket League. Get out for a walk with my dog. Love my dog. Eventually, hopefully, I'll get a backpack for my cat, but that won't be too long from now, but we'll see how he adjusts. And then come back and probably hop on Discord for a little bit to see what's going on with the community. Pop back on LinkedIn, share some jobs that are hopefully, out and about and available. Message some people to see if they're gonna attend our cyber hives or whatever. And then at the end of the day, to relax, I'd have probably a good meal with the family, sit down, hopefully talk about, whatever. My daughter's in graphic design, would love to talk about that. My son is in a career mode, so hopefully figure out what he's going to do. And then it's my calm down time is usually watching, okay, it's gonna sound ridiculous, is watching some YouTube videos around consciousness or quantum physics, or as we talked about like a little bit before, is positive geometry that came out of some of this stuff. And I'm like, and then I would go to sleep, and that is like my best day ever. Communicating, seeing people, talking, just having a great day with everything that I love. That would be awesome. Oh, and flipping through some comics. I love my comics here and there too. Sorry, I keep on forgetting. And my UAP, UFO like research. My gosh, if I could get like an hour where I could read like my UFO or UAP book as well, it'd be awesome.
Awesome. Before we wrap up, I have two more questions. How do you keep up yourself with the cybersecurity industry based on whatever nuances coming, whatever research is happening, and how you can keep yourself up to the mark within the industry? That's my first question. Okay. And my second question is there any books that you may recommend for mature cybersecurity guy or a student?
Okay, so so the first one, how do I keep up? A lot of it is LinkedIn, right? Like LinkedIn has been like, unfortunately, one of my go-tos, because I try and keep away from the political aspect of things. So that's why I try and stay away from like the X Twitter kind of thing and the Facebook aspect. I find LinkedIn has a very good professional feed for me because I follow who I like, right? Especially like there's great researchers out there. One of them that came to Fanshawe to help us out was Tammy Harper. She was amazing at giving us one of the presentations lately on how cybercrime works. It was absolutely fantastic, and she works for, I think, Flare.io, and again, another amazing company. So it's these people, Bruce Schneer, who is now a professor at the University of Toronto, was in Boston, I think, and is one of the lead security guys that he wrote the book on cryptography, right? Like he was the first person to write applied cryptography. He also has a significant amount of books that I would read. He's in my library. The other thing I try and do is like I'll hop into like, you know, the Ars Technica or Dark Reading, Tom's Hardware, all these kind of like, again, news sites. But again, it's really hard to get a feel of news because news wants to really project what they want you to read and see. But I also find like people that are part of the community, we find the problems that are in the community and we can kind of like help figure out ways to solve them. Because again, there's not always a tool, right? I think that's the hard part is you'll see all these new technologies and you'll see all this new stuff come out and it still doesn't solve a problem. So I think that's the aspect is communicating and keeping with the community themselves helps me keep on top about what people are interested in. AI has been a huge topic, so I've had to like really kind of come on to the AI aspect. Quantum is probably the next big buzzword, right? So we kind of have to understand quantum, and then we have to figure out what's post-quantum, right? Like what happens after that. But right now, we're still trying to deal with like protocols that are insecure that were developed in the 1970s. Think of DNS, right? Our infrastructure is still built on 1970s and 1960s technology. We have what, 16 or 18 root DNS servers. We still run IPv4. We still have like TCP. Like we still have the root. We're still based on x86 architecture for most of it, right? There's some ARM. There's still other kind of. So until we kind of like get rid of the old stuff, we can't really get to the new stuff. But I will say like we have to do new because we are developing. We're moving forward. We want to work at a faster speed. But the idea is, as we work with a faster speed, we want better intelligence. And that's why I think that artificial intelligence has been really huge. But we still need real intelligence to feed artificial intelligence, right? Like, so we have this that we have to keep on doing. And so the books that I would keep on reading, oh man, it's so hard for them to produce books at this like day and age because of the speed of technology. But any kind of white articles that come out of white paper articles that come out of IBM are pretty much on the leading edge. Any of the new quantum technologies that oh my God, I can't think of the name of them. But yes, so AI and quantum are definitely the hotness. Because one of the things, how do you secure quantum? I have no idea, right? Like, so this is where like, but we know quantum's supposed to be able to break everything. So, so if we can break everything, how do we secure something that can break everything? Anyway, so yeah, it's tough, and I like, but the books, Bruce Schneer, love him, and then any kind of white papers you can get out of a lot of the leading edge technology companies and LinkedIn, contact people on LinkedIn, talk to them, come to the Cyber Hives, come to the GDG events, because gosh, if I've learned anything from your GDG events, you developers are literally on the leading edge of everything, right? You guys are the ones that are developing the tools that we have to use and secure.
At the biggest threat as well.
Yeah, you guys are a little bit of a threat, not gonna say. Oh man, but you guys are awesome, right? Like again, you guys feed into a certain area that helps technology grow. And as we all learn to work together, because like I said, we also have the AI ladies that have been around here, and it's just communities that help each other. We learn how to like better support each other. And I know we're gonna have this for-profit model for a long time, but in the meantime, let's try and help each other where we can, right? So.
All right. Thank you very much for listening the entire podcast. If you gained a single value out of it, please let us know in the comment section and share it with at least one person whom you think might benefit from this. Until then, keep figuring it out, and I'll see you in the next one.